to Lisa's Tone. My dad listens to this. I'm Juliet the daughter.
That must make me Kevin the dad.
It must. I hope so anyway. Otherwise, who are you and what am I doing here? And this week, we are talking about the essential fifth dimension. So, Dad, what do we need to know?
Oh, we need to know a lot. The original 5 members of the fifth dimension were Marilyn McCoo, born September 30th, 1943, Billy Davis Jr., born June 26, 1938, Florence LaRue, born February 4th, 1942, Lamont McLemore, born September 17th, 1939, and Ron Townsend, born January 29th, 1933, died August 2nd, 2001, of kidney failure.
Oh, wow, so a lot of them are left.
Yeah, 4 out of 5.
Wow.
Like those dentists. Ron, Billy, and Lamont all grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, and knew each other because their dads were friends. Ron sang in the Wings Over Jordan choir for 8 years and came in 3rd in the Missouri trials for the Metropolitan Opera.
Whoa.
He also sang with local jazz vocal group the Hi-Fis. He went to Lincoln University and served in the Air Force. He married Bobette Wilson in 1957, and they headed out to California to take the next step in Ron's musical career. He met Dorothy Dandridge and toured with her for 2 years. He also worked in the 1959 movie version of Porgy and Bess and toured with Nat King Cole.
Oh, wow.
Lamont was already out there in Long Beach. He had served in the Navy, and after that he was pitching for the Los Angeles Dodgers Double-A team.
Wow.
Since baseball was only a 9-month gig, Lamont took up photography. He became so in demand he started Hallmark Graphics with Cliff Hall. He was the first African-American photographer to work for Harper's Bazaar, and he shot the cover of the Stevie Wonder's first album. Meanwhile, the Hi-Fis had moved to California. This time, Lamont sang with them. Ron also sang with them a couple of times in California as the group's roster was always changing. Marilyn McCoo eventually joined the Hi-Fis, which consisted of herself, Lamont, Harry Elston, Fritz Basket, and Lawrence Summers.
Fritz Basket?
That was her name.
Wow.
Marilyn had lived in Los Angeles since she was 7. Her parents' musical tastes influenced her, and she was drawn to torch singing. Meantime, she got a degree in business admin from UCLA and won Miss Grand Talent in the Miss Bronze California beauty pageant in 1962. She also worked as a model for Lamont. The Hi-Fis toured as part of the Ray Charles Revue. By the tour's end in 1964, the group broke up. Meanwhile, Billy Davis Jr. sang in local St. Louis groups such as the Emeralds. They would become the Saint Gospel Singers. When Billy was in the Army, he formed his own band, the Kingsmen, not the Louie Kingsmen. After the Army, he came back to St. Louis and opened a nightclub, the Oriole Lounge, to further his career. His grandfather had told him to go somewhere you can make records. He contacted Lamont, who was now working as a photographer for Motown's West Coast division. Lamont invited Billy out and set up an audition for him. Whilst waiting for his big break, Billy hung out with Ron. The two of them and Lamont formed a vocal group and asked Marilyn to join. She said yes, as long as it was just a hobby.
Oh, wow.
But they needed another female vocalist. Fritz Basket, from her Hi-Fi days, was unavailable. They welcomed Florence LaRue after hearing her voice. Florence was from Glendale, Pennsylvania, and had moved to California to attend college and, by participating in beauty contests, establish a buzz for a potential movie career. She was a Miss Coppertone, a Miss Valverde, and, like Marilyn, was a Miss Bronze California Grant Talent Award participant.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
Yes, it is. She also got an Associate's in Music from Los Angeles City College and a BA in Education from Cal State. They called themselves the Versatiles because they were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lamont invited Mark Gordon from Motown West to hear them, and they eventually started cutting demos. Berry Gordy liked them, but he didn't hear any hits.
Oh, wow.
Mark Gordon left Motown and became the Versatiles manager. They recorded the single for the Bronco label, You're Good Enough for Me, but airplay was limited. Mark Gordon introduced the group to recording artist Johnny Rivers, who was looking to start his own label. Rivers produced the group, but was unhappy with the R&B approach of the initial sessions. He contacted engineer Dayton Burr Bones Howe that he decided he'd turn him into, and I quote, the Black Mamas and Papas.
Okay, well, they're yeah.
Going so far as to recreate the Mamas and Papas record, Go Where You Want to Go.
Yeah.
And it worked as it went to number 16 on Billboard's Hot 100. But when the record came out, it was credited to The Fifth Dimension, a name Ron and Bobette came up with. More hip.
Okay.
They followed up with Another Day, Another Heartache, which only went to number 45.
Mm-hmm.
The third single, yes, you want to say something?
Sorry, no, I'm just thinking of what Squidward says. Another day, another migraine.
Okay.
Anyway.
Their third single was a Jimmy Webb song, Up, Up and Away.
Mm-hmm.
It went to number 7. At the 1968 Grammy Awards, it won Record of the Year, Song of the Year, Best Pop Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocals,
Jeez.
Best Performance by a Chorus, and Best Contemporary Song.
Oh man, how many categories does the Grammys have?
It was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame in 2003.
I think it deserves it.
And TWA used it in ads. Meanwhile, Johnny Rivers owed Liberty Records 2 more records, so he turned to Bones Howe to produce the fifth. He did, and pretty much produced almost every single thing the fifth did up to 1973 or so. For their second album, The Magic Garden, Jimmy Webb wrote 10 out of the 11 songs. Some guys named Lennon and McCartney got credit for a song called Ticket to Ride. The album did respectable, and the 2 singles released, Paper Cup and Carpet Man, made the top 40. For their third album, 1968's Stone Soul Picnic, Jimmy Webb was unavailable. Bones was given some demos of songs by Laura Nero by her manager David Geffen.
Oh.
2 of her songs, Stone Soul Picnic and Sweet Blindness, became hits, along with California Soul, written by Nicholas Ashford and Valerie Simpson, one of the greatest songwriting teams ever. But now, it's 1969. It's time for another album they call The Age of Aquarius. There were 4 hits off that album, the title song, Blowing Away, Wedding Bell Blues, and Working on a Groovy Thing. And more about those songs later.
Yes.
Behind the scenes, Florence LaRue and Mark Gordon got married in September 1969.
Aww.
But before they did, Marilyn and Bill got married in July of 69.
Was that before or after Wedding Bell Blues came out?
That was that.
Okay.
We'll get more to that later.
Okay, good.
Now the fifth are just on the roll, appearing on Ed Sullivan, getting their own TV special, and performing at the 1969 Harlem Cultural Festival. And for that, check out Questlove's documentary, 2021's Summer of Soul, which was about the festival. Very eye-opening. Then...
Troublish?
The 70s.
Ah, crap.
As we like to call them. Their 1970 album, Portrait, languished in the mid-60s on Billboard's 200's albums charts.
I like the album cover, though.
3 singles were released that did okay, but a DJ at an LA MOR station, which stands for Middle of the Road, started playing One Less Bell to Answer, and the phone lines lit up. It was released as a single, it went to number 2, and Portrait flew up to number 20.
Hey, there we go.
But then...
Uh-oh. Troublish?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Marilyn had the only lead vocal on the song, and the rest of the group was relegated to background.
Oh.
She became the primary vocalist for subsequent chart hits.
Well,
This caused some friction in the band and eventually led Marilyn and Billy to leave the group in 1975.
Oh, at least he was loyal to his woman.
They did get a number 1 hit with You Don't Have to Be a Star to Be in My Show. They had their own variety show, and Marilyn would go on to serve a lengthy stint in the 1980s as host of Solid Gold.
What's that?
It was the syndicated TV show that would count down the top 10 hits of the week, and they were most famous for the Solid Gold dancers who would dance to the songs. I'm sure there's videos on YouTube.
Probably.
And I believe Dionne Warwick also hosted it for quite a while, too.
Oh, cool, okay.
Now, Lamont stayed with the Fifth Dimension until 2006.
What? Wow, okay.
Ron left in 1979, but then came back in 1980. And Florence keeps on keeping on, touring as Florence LaRue and the Fifth Dimension.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's her and 4 other guys. There've been a lot of roster changes over the
years?
decades.
Okay.
Now, they've been eligible for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame since 1992, and...
I think they should get in?
Yeah, I think I should get in because...
You think you should get in? You said I think I should get in.
I think they should get in. I don't think I should get in. Don't make me go to the hall. Don't make me go in there.
He doesn't want to.
No, I don't want
to.
But anyway, they were the most successful non-Motown black vocal group of the 1960s. But here's the thing.
What?
I think the people who run the hall are making them pay for not conforming to the critics' own expectations of how a black group is supposed to sound.
Oh, well, screw the hall for that then.
Well,
Come at me, I don't care.
Well, whites were surprised that they were a black group. Like when they saw them in person, it was, what?
Really?
Yep. And then blacks didn't think that they sounded black enough.
Oh.
And as Marilyn put it so well in the Summer of Soul documentary about their struggles to get more of a black audience, she said, how do you color a sound?
Yeah, good point, Marilyn.
Yep. Now, as for me, I remember hearing this stuff on the radio as a kid, and, I always liked it.
Yeah.
So I picked up a 2-record anthology that Rhino Records put out in 1986, which I still have. I think it has 28 songs on it.
Okay.
All in chronological order, has a nice essay, and I'm sure it is rare as anything.
Rhino's pretty good with this sort of thing, as we've learned on the show.
They still are. They got bought out by Atlantic Records, so they're kind of like a subsidiary of them. But when they were an independent, they would just put out anything by anyone, and everyone realized, wow, these guys really know what they're doing. Anyway, I picked up their 1997 2-CD set, Up and Away, the definitive collection on Arista Records. And then, years later, I either sold it or donated it or something.
No.
And then years after that, I regretted it.
Yeah, I
bet. But then I got a second chance because Sony bought Arista Records and in 2011 re-released Up and Away as The Essential Fifth Dimension.
Oh, okay. There we go.
I still have and I will always have.
Yep, that's going to go in your coffin when you die.
Nah, that'll just go on to you.
Oh, okay.
Well, depending on the death order. If I go first, then your mom gets them, and then after her, you'll get them.
Okay.
But you could also skip the line and just, assume control of all the CDs.
And assuming CD players are still around, I mean, I'm going to keep mine. Anyway.
Okay. There are 36 songs on this collection, but for this podcast...
We don't have time for that.
No, which I'm sure you listeners are grateful for. We cut it down to 18.
Yep.
Now, 16 of the songs that I picked made the top 10, and the other 2 are deep tracks. So let's jump into it.
First track, Up and Away. This song is on my mood boosting playlist because whenever I hear it, I'm instantly in a good mood. First, let's talk about how the voices sound. I don't know what they did in the studio, but the voices sound very light and ethereal and make you feel like you're floating. And the use of guitar and drums put you at ease. And the drums I remember you talked about in your drum lecture, which maybe we'll do an episode on one day. Who knows? They convey the feeling of soaring through the air on a fun adventure in a hot air balloon. And to convey the passage of time as day turns to night, there's a key change as the lovers snuggle up in the balloon basket and look for a star to wish on. This is a really happy song that makes you feel good and want to ride up in a hot air balloon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This was written by Jimmy Webb, and it was inspired by a hot air balloon business in Palm Springs, California.
Yeah, and they have the Hot Air Balloon Festival in Texas, too. There's a lot of hot air balloon festivals around the world.
I think there's also one in New Mexico as well. That's probably the most famous.
Yep.
Anyway, Up and Away is a prime example of what is known as sunshine pop.
Oh, that sounds nice.
It's a form of soft pop that dealt in escapism from the turmoil of the times.
Nothing wrong with that.
And it does not get any more escapist than this. Quote, "The world's a nicer place in my beautiful balloon. It wears a nicer face in my beautiful balloon."
But it doesn't feel saccharine or overly sweet.
Yeah, I will give it that. Oh, and also, if by some chance you find yourself loving me, we'll have the clouds to hide us whilst the nasty is being committed, I guess.
Yeah, that I didn't pick up on until I was listening to it afterward, and I was like, oh, they're doing it in the clouds, okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's getting a little damp. Anyway, or damper.
And cold.
Moist. Anyway, musically, it's kind of Baroque. There's kind of like a lot going on.
Okay.
But it's not overwhelming. And it also has elements of samba, which is a key trademark in sunshine pop. You can kind of sway to it.
Yeah.
And it does sound like a commercial because it has that ad jingle feel to it, which is another trademark of sunshine pop.
But they're not trying to sell you something in this case.
No, but TWA still swooped in to use this song for their commercials.
Hey, Jimmy Webb got the royalties, so he's having a great time.
I'm sure he is. And the fifth are definitely working as a unit on this one. No one stands out individually.
I mean, except when the women sing the word fly first and then the guys join in. That's about it.
But you still got, Florence and Marilyn together and then the 3 guys together. And I gotta say, Hal Blaine is killing it on the drums.
That's who it was. Okay.
Now, fun fact, Hal Blaine played drums on 6 consecutive records of the year. Let me see if I can remember them. Strangers in the Night, Up and Away,
You got one third.
Mrs. Robinson.
Yep, that's half.
Age of Aquarius.
Yep. Come on, you got two more.
The Boxer.
One more. Come on, you can do it.
And I cannot remember the sixth song, and it's killing me. A Taste of Honey by Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass.
Yeah, you did it.
So no one else has ever done that yet.
Cool.
Okay, anyway.
Next track, Go Where You Want to Go. Nice funky bass to start us off. Okay, what year did this come out for my next point that I'm going to make?
I want to say it was 66.
Oh, that's interesting because the use of strings of the bass violin sounded highly similar to Eleanor Rigby, which I'm sure is due to some Beatles influence. Yeah. At first I thought this song would be about empowerment and someone learning to forge their own path, but this is acceptance of a lover walking away and realizing you can't keep them tethered to you. The object of this person's affection is traveling 3,000 miles away, which if you're on the East Coast, that would be England, and if you're on the West Coast, I'm sure that would be some country on the Asian continent.
Also, if you're on the East Coast and you're traveling 3,000 miles, California.
Oh, touche. So it could be east to west, bi-coastal, as Peter Allen would say. And they lay down a hard boundary. Please don't follow. This girl has only ever loved one man and never wanted to be left behind, but she respects the boundary and lets him go, to which I say, good for her.
This song was written by John Phillips from the Mamas and the Papas, and this song came out before Up and Away, so chronological order is not being respected on this set. However, it was on the Rhino set because Rhino is Rhino. Anyway, John wrote this about Michelle Phillips's affair with producer songwriter Russ Titleman.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Did they find out that it was about them?
I imagine they probably did.
Uh-oh.
And John seems to be kind of like, hey, you gotta go where you want it. We'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
It got limited release as a single in 1965 because someone at the record company realized, hey, that song California Dreamin', that could be a bigger, did someone say better, hit? Which, of course, it was.
Yeah.
And I think California Dreaming is one of those songs that was responsible for the mass migration to the West Coast.
California Dreaming is becoming a reality.
There you go. The chorus is an invitation, I think, to a free-for-all. Go where you want to go. Do what you want to do with whomever you want to do it with. The 60s.
Now, here's what I want to ask you. Oh, go ahead. Finish your point.
Fast forward to 2011, and Go Where You Want to Go is now used in Medicare commercials.
Oh, no.
It could have been worse. It could have been like a go into the bathroom commercial. Go when you want to go. Do what you want to do.
It reminds me of a remix of 9 to 5 that I heard where someone was talking about their bathroom breaks at work. Working 9 to 10, then going to the bathroom. Working 10:30 to 11:45, then going to the bathroom. I'll play the full one for you later.
That reminds me of my Blue Cross days.
But
anyway.
here's the question I have for you. So sometimes you'll send me other related songs to listen to for the podcast.
Yeah.
How come you didn't send me the Mamas and the Papas for this?
Oh, easy.
You don't like the Mamas and the Papas?
No, because I just never thought of it.
Oh, okay. Well, now I know.
I didn't think of watching it myself.
Okay.
There you go.
There we go. Mystery solved.
Yep.
Next track?
Carpet Man.
Okay, Carpet Man. I heard those claps and the first thing that came to mind was Space Oddity by David Bowie. This song is all about the importance of, to quote Don Lockwood, dignity. Always dignity. The Carpet Man is someone who lets a woman walk over him. Now, my generation has another term to refer to this type of man, a simp. A phrase which here means a man who shows excessive concern, attention, or deference toward a romantic partner or a love interest.
Oh, like sympathetic. Not. I was thinking simpleton.
I was thinking simpleton too when I first heard it, yeah. And this woman sees a grown-ass man waiting on her hand and foot and just sees him as someone who will be there for her in times of trouble. Doesn't have any feelings for this man, but uses him like a devoted little puppy. And does he get any thanks for this? Nope. She marries someone else once she grows bored with him. Ooh, I want to smack women like this in the face. A cautionary tale sung beautifully.
The old nice guys finished last.
Aww.
Anyway, written by Jimmy Webb, he's called Carpet Man because she can walk all over him and get away with it, and she knows it.
Ew.
Bonus?
Yeah?
Her and her groom will dance all over him at the wedding reception. This song starts off sounding like the Monkees, a little bit me, a little bit you.
Okay.
Which makes sense in that members of the Wrecking Crew may have played on both songs.
Oh, okay.
I sent you...
You did, yes.
I think you could do a mashup with those two songs, no problem.
If anyone wants to and has the technology, go ahead and do it.
And it kicks Sunshine ass.
Next track, Paper Cup. You know, listening to these lyrics, we shouldn't have been surprised by MacArthur Park.
Mm,
You get what I mean? I think
yes.
this is supposed to be about someone finding their own little bubble to get by while life goes on around them, while everyone warns them that eventually they'll lose their mind. But god damn, does it make you feel good even in the confusion. Maybe you have to mentally let go yourself a little bit in order to understand this song a little bit too.
Hmm.
That's just my theory.
Oh, yeah. This is written by Jimmy Webb, who is living inside a paper cup. No one comes in,
No
no
one
one
comes
goes
out.
out.
To quote the Tinker.
The California, like Hotel California. Anyway, it has a shower across the hall, a den, and refrigerated air. So he's living large. This is from the album The Magic Garden, which Marilyn McCoo called the Susan album, as Jimmy had broken up with a woman named Susan,
Uh-oh.
and he got everything out on this album.
Oh, there, Jimmy.
So I kind of guess this would be his "The World Sucks, Leave Me Alone, I'm Gonna Be a Hermit in My Home" song.
Okay, sure.
And maybe there are drugs involved because it looks like a paper cup, and it was getting kind of weird.
Yeah.
People say he's insane, he'll be going down the drain, and they're right, but he doesn't care because, good times.
Yeah.
But it's Sunshine Pop, so it's delivered so happily.
Yeah, by Bill. Next track, Stone Soul Picnic. I love how I could instantly tell this was a 60s drug song, so I could just coast by on the vibes of this song while listening to it and feel good without having to listen for a deeper meaning. But the moment that caught me off guard was how they used the drums on the reprise of the lyrics, Red, Yellow, Honey, Sassafras, and Moonshine, and From the Sky Come the Lord and the Lightning. That was a fascinating choice, and I just want to know why they did that. Made me wish I was on drugs, but not really. Just for the purposes of knowing what went into this song while writing it. Research. A track that surprised me and one I enjoyed. Makes me want to ask if they were ever on Soul Train or if that didn't come till later, because their performances on that would have been great.
Okay, the thing about Stone Soul Picnic and just the word stoned in general.
It meant drunk back then, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was definitely getting more into like, the drugs kind of thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, this was written by Laura Nero and went to number 3 on Billboard's Hot 100 in 1968. It's a mellow scene at the Stone Soul Picnic, man. Red, Yellow, Honey, whatever that is, Sassafras, and Moonshine.
Moonshine.
Can you picnic? I knew that you could. But can you sorry?
With the fringe on top?
What the heck? When Laura Nero was cutting her version, her producer Charlie Colello asked her,
What the hell does this mean?
Yeah, and her reply was, "Oh, it's just a nice word." Now there are theories that it's a shortening of the phrase "let's hurry," or
Okay.
or yes, it does refer to the horse-drawn carriage, like in the Oklahoma song.
Sorry, with the fringe on top, which
Thank you.
I listened to last night because I was watching When Harry Met Sally and the scene where they're getting the karaoke machine for Jess and her friend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So the sorry may have been a way of getting to the picnic, I guess.
Yeah, because they go to the picnic in the musical, so that works.
And I think the fifth keep it pretty low-key for the most part until they get to the sorry part, and they just cut loose at the end.
But you didn't answer my question. Were they ever on Soul Train, or did that not come till
That
later?
I do not know. I'd like to think they were, but I
Or maybe not,
don't
given
know.
their history, like what Marilyn said.
I don't know.
That would have been sad. Next track, Sweet Blindness. I think this is the kind of drunk people get when they're in a good mood and they don't want the night to end, so they get a little buzz to try to keep the feeling going. There's also a little bit of rebellion to it as this woman takes some of her daddy's wine and lets loose with a side of her the rest of her family doesn't get to see. So you get the sense she's grown up in a strict environment and doesn't really let loose all that much. And she starts to have fun, and we have fun with her. And we get a saxophone, which I was not expecting and was a nice touch.
Mm-hmm. This was also written by Laura Nero, and I kind of look at it as like Stone Soul Picnic Part 2, or maybe The Day After. Marilyn and Flo invite us to drink their daddy's wine to the point of being stone blind drunk, as long as you don't tell their mom, or oddly, dad, who doesn't believe in the gin mill spirit.
But
He's
has
got the
wine.
Yeah. And I thought, well, maybe he doesn't believe in gin, but he's okay with wine.
Maybe he doesn't believe in the harder stuff.
Could be, because, wine you can probably use for, like, religious services, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
For Jesus.
as someone who's not much of a drinker,
Mm-hmm.
I would not resist their invitation. I would probably have,
The martini from Ben and Jamie's wedding.
and then just, like, act ridiculous and then pass out. Now, musically, this reminds me a bit of Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass. Not a specific song. I really couldn't pin it down, but it just kind of has that same
Sound,
feeling.
yeah.
You know why? Because the Wrecking Crew played on
Herb Alpert?
their
Oh,
stuff
okay.
as well. Yes.
Next track, California Soul. At first, the opening verses sounded almost monotone, but then the Fifth Dimension's signature sound came back as they sang the title. I love the lyrics to this because if you read them on the page by themselves, it sounds like a mythological story of how California came into existence, which I think is kind of cool. Indigenous American mythology isn't in our cultural zeitgeist, unfortunately, so the only mythology I knew growing up was Greek and Roman. And from that perspective, the song is cool but vocally underwhelming.
Okay.
Mhm.
This is written by Ashford and Simpson and first recorded by Michael and the Messengers in 1967. The Fifth Dimension version came out the end of 1968 and went to number 25. I kind of look at it as like it's a state of mind. And again, I bet this probably was a song that some people heard and thought, that's it. I'm moving to California. See you later.
Like in Hercules, that's it! I'm moving to Sparta!
Yep. And like I said before, other songs would be California Dreaming and also the Fifth Dimension song California My Way, which really sounds like nothing less than the commercial for the Golden State. I mean, a travel agency could use that song like no problem.
Oh, yeah.
And Whole Foods would play like a funky version on their station by Sinead and the Sinners,
Which you sent to me,
I
yeah.
sent to you.
You know, that makes sense. That is very Whole Foods music.
It is, because like when I first heard it, I thought, wait a minute, someone actually covered this song? Who is this?
And the thing is, it doesn't sound borderline hipster, actually, the way you'd expect it to playing on a Whole Foods speaker.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Next track, Aquarius / Let the Sun Shine. Before I delved into the musical theater fandom, I thought this song just belonged to the Fifth Dimension. I first heard their rendition in the Disney Channel film Recess School's Out, when the gang saves the day and Principal Prickly puts on his hippie necklace and smiles looking out the window knowing he saved summer vacation for his kids, which I sent you via email. Their arrangement of this medley is a classic, and I was salty when Musicals with Cheese didn't mention it in their episode covering the musical Hair, because that's how most people know this song. Their voices sweep you away in this loving music, and you're optimistic. Not in a cheesy way, but in the way you feel uplifted and that good things are coming your way. It's already on my mood-boosting playlist because of how good it makes me feel. I could never listen to these songs the way they're used in Hair. To me, this will always be the most perfect version.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is written by Jim Rado, Jerome Ragney, and Galt McDermott. Now, this is a medley of two songs from the Broadway musical Hair, like you said. So, Billy Davis lost his wallet in the New York cab, and he's bummed out, and Marilyn's trying to console him, when all of a sudden, the phone in the hotel room that they're staying at rings. One Ed Gifford found the wallet. So, Billy invites Ed to see the Fifth Dimension perform in New York. Ed, in turn, invites the Fifth to see this musical that he's producing called Hair.
Well, that was nice of them to do for each other.
Yeah, so yeah, there you go. Now, the Fifth just wanted to cut Aquarius, but producer Bones Howe thought it needs something more here.
Yeah.
Hence, tacking on Let the Sun Shine In, which then it says in parentheses, the flesh failures, which I have no idea what that means.
Don't
I tried.
either.
Maybe it's like, that the spirit is willing,
But the
but
flesh,
the flesh is weak.
Yeah.
Could be, anyway. So anyway, that was a smart move on Bones' behalf. That's the section where the Fifth sing Let the Sun Shine In over and over and over.
And Billy lets loose.
Yeah, he just cuts loose and just like ad-libs his ass off. And he's just like feeling through the whole song.
He wants us to sing along with the Fifth Dimension.
Yes, he
and
does.
Open up our heart. Yep.
The song was 4 minutes and 49 seconds, which was an eternity back then.
But you don't feel like your time's being wasted or like it's too long.
It went to number 1 and stayed there for 6 weeks.
Yay!
And then it went on to win Record of the Year and Best Pop Vocal Performance by a Group at the 1970 Grammys. And of course, it was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame, whatever that is, in 2004. Now, you may be asking, what is the Age of Aquarius?
What is the Age of Aquarius? Well, when the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter aligns with Mars.
Oh, I did some digging.
Oh, wow, you went full astrology, okay?
Yeah. Well, man, it's the age of light, of love, and of humanity, man. But we got to get through the current age of Pisces, man, which started back in 1 AD and goes until the year 2150.
Oh,
and then after
no.
that, it's the age of Aquarius from 2150 to 4300. There's a chart that has the different ages, and they all last 2,150 years.
Interesting.
It's on Wikipedia, of course.
Oh, man, I'm going to be dead before the Age of Aquarius happens. God damn it.
Look at it this way, so will I. We all will. We're never gonna see it. And who knows, 2150 comes along and someone decides, let's keep this Age of Pisces going.
Next track, Blowing Away. Another swept up in love song where she feels like she could get blown away with how much she's floating on love. But there's an undercurrent of sensuality to it.
Oh, yeah.
However, I wasn't blown away by this song, even as they slowed down in tempo towards the end, which I really liked. They captured the floating feeling really well. It's the perfect touch to end the song on. It's not too much, yet I feel like it was lacking that kind of emotional oomph for the rest of the song. Okay, now I gotta ask a question. I'm not saying this to be facetious. Do you
Facetious?
think... Yeah.
Facetious.
Facetious, sorry. Okay, but I gotta ask, because they're adults.
Yeah.
Do you think they also mean blowing in the sexual sense here? Or no?
Could be, but this is sunshine pop. We keep it clean. We keep it light.
Okay.
Okay.
Just asking.
But I like your theory. This was written by Laura Nero, and Marilyn and Flo are feeling a little randy. They're singing "You Old Fire," "I'm Mad with Desire," "You're My Favorite One," "You Got Me Cooking with the Fever," "Got My Love Running for the Sun," and all I can say is, shucks, ladies. I mean,
so it could be about the other thing.
Yeah. Anyway. For the most part, this song is a shuffle until that last 45 seconds.
Yes.
When everyone just kind of chills out singing "Blown Away" over and over and over.
Which I love.
But Billy doesn't testify in this one because I think that would just kind of like ruin
the mood.
The calm mood. It's kind of like maybe that last 45 seconds is, okay, we're just lying back, we've got our cigarettes, and we are just...
Yeah. Or if you're my generation, you get the cell phone and you're scrolling through it. I've talked about that with my friends with Mike before, and they're like, yeah, that's it. That's what it is for our generation. Scrolling through TikTok.
Yeah, I always get the lurch to light up the phone after. Anyway.
Next track, Wedding Bell Blues. Oh boy, Marilyn is tired of waiting for Bill. But I need to hear the history of that, but we'll get to that in a second. She still really loves Bill, but she sees the passion and hears a choir of carousels when she hears him sing. But what does a choir of carousels even sound like?
You got a lot of carousels and they're all playing the same song at the same time and it sounds really loud. Maybe it's to do with like bells or...
Oh, okay. And she's been with him through it all. And it's lovely, but boy, does she want to be married to this man. And her questions to him are, 1, am I ever going to see my wedding day? And 2, am I ever going to hear my wedding bells? For me, this song is why Marilyn is such a good singer. Because you hear the passion, but not an ounce of hate. Just her passion pushing her to get more so they can be happy together. And I gotta wonder what the hell Bill thought listening to this song and hearing his friends sing this, essentially roasting him and having to back his girlfriend up. I thought it would have been hilarious if this song was released as a single with the worst that could happen on the other side, as if Marilyn got tired of waiting and Bill was left all by his lonesome. Such a good song of love and longing. Okay, Dad, give me the history, because I gotta know.
Well, it's not a whole hell of a lot of history, but this was written by Laura Nero, and Marilyn does take lead on this. And the first word out of her mouth?
Bill!
Yeah, as in Billy Davis Jr., yeah, she's talking to you. And she sings about how she has the Wedding Bell Blues and begs, please marry me, Bill. And when they performed it on TV, it was like she would sing it and Bill's reaction would be like the old deer in the headlights. Like, who, me?
So he's leaning into it. Okay.
Yeah, he's like you talking to me? Now, here's the thing.
Yeah.
At the time that they cut the song, they were engaged.
Oh, but how long had they been engaged for?
A date had not been set. So after this, Billy stepped up, set the date, and cured Marilyn of those blues on July 26, 1969, and 55 years later,
they're still married.
They are still married.
Now, here's what I want to know. When the song was originally written, was Bill's name written into it, or did Marilyn
Yeah, because when Laura Nero recorded it, yep.
Okay.
If we ever do hers, you'll be able to hear the original, and she does sing Bill.
Okay.
Wedding Bell Blues was the #1 hit for 3 weeks in November of 1969. I'm Casey Case.
Next track, Working on a Groovy Thing.
You have some history with this song, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I was listening to this song on my lunch break for fun one day at work because I just needed to feel good before going into a meeting. I first fell in love with this track when I had to sing this as an a cappella arrangement in high school. The arranger did a pretty good job of making this easy to sing for teenagers while still getting a Fifth Dimension sound. I think, though, we were too scared of our teacher to have full fun with it. But anyway...
La Sorsa.
But anyway, this song describes the chemistry you feel when you know you've met the right person. And if you lose control, it's in the best way with passion and wanting to give in to feelings of happiness and joy. No one says groovy anymore, but it means enjoyable, exciting, and excellent. It's all about savoring those exciting feelings with the right person, not wanting to rush it, but taking it slow so you can enjoy it together.
This was written by Neil Sedaka and Roger Atkins.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And as you said, the groovy thing being worked on, it's loved, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's loved. Now, as for the word groovy, it's been around since before the 60s.
Oh.
I remember watching Miracle on 34th Street.
Oh, and they say groovy with what?
Groovey was how they spelled it, because it was like, yeah, the movie, it's groovy.
Oh, that's right, and the little special feature they have before the film.
Yep. Yeah, and jazz cats used to use it to describe music that was swinging because it had, a groove.
Mm-hmm.
Groovy.
Yeah.
Now, Brits use the word to describe people who are caught up in monotonous routines.
Oh, interesting.
Like digging yourself into a rut or...
a groove.
Yep, very good.
Okay.
For me, I love this song, but that one word just really dates it. But I don't suppose you could sing Working on a Cool Thing.
No, groovy, it fits the groove of the song.
Yeah, I suppose. But cool is one of those words that will never, ever go out of style. But
Ja,
groovy,
das ist cool.
yeah, kind of does.
Next track, One Less Bell to Answer. Oh man, what a gut punch. This song is about when you go through a breakup and you try to see the positive for your own sake. I don't have to cook as much, don't have to answer someone else's beck and call, don't have to pick up anyone else's crap. But she misses him, misses the laughter and the happy memories. And she is aching and doesn't know how to make it stop because she's still in love. The music conveys the perfect wistfulness, and with the touch of acoustic guitar and Marilyn's powerful voice and the other singers sighing with longing, you feel every ounce of her sadness. A beautiful song, but don't listen if you're having a good day because it's going to get ruined really quick.
This is written by Burt Bacharach and Hal David.
Oh, Burt!
And it was first recorded by Keely Smith in 1967.
Not Dion. Okay.
Yep, not Dion. Bones Howe rediscovered the song in 1969. And One Less Bell is the dividing line for the Fifth Dimension's career. It kind of marks the beginning of the end for the group, because like I said, Marilyn's on lead vocals, and the rest of the five are relegated to background vocals, and there's no real vocal interplay amongst them. Also, it's the end of this sunshine pop phase, because let's face it, this is a grown-up song, and this is like really the first sad song that we've come across with.
And we're heading into the late 60s too.
This actually came out in 1970.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, this relationship is over. I mean, it's really over. And poor Marilyn, she ends each day the way she starts out, just crying her heart out. Even though she doesn't have to pick up after him anymore. And I thought, like, she's the maid? Can he pick up his own shit?
Yeah, I know.
So there's kind of sort of a silver lining, sort of, I guess. This is one of the saddest songs ever, and it always gets me. And way back in my Camp Stone Tower days, like, this is like pre-Jim and Diane Camp Stone Tower days. This might have been like either 75 or 76, where I worked in what they called Little Camp.
Yeah.
Which the kids were like, 3 years old up to maybe 9 or 10. And anyway, one day it was raining, and we had like this small like house, sort of schoolhouse kind of one-room school thing that everyone, we just all stayed in. We watched it rain. There was a close and play record player, and there was only one record.
No.
145.
Oh no.
Played over and over and over. It's like one of the most depressing days. Like, hey, it's a rainy day. How can we possibly make it worse? I know. One less bell. 2 less, 3, 4, over and over and over.
God, those poor kids.
Oh, yeah. Anyway.
Well, next track.
Yes.
Puppet Man. Tonal whiplash here. Never has manipulation sounded so sexy. I've definitely heard the chorus before, because the way they sing the word strang such has a distinct sound that you will never forget what song it came from. The object of the puppet man's affection is willing to have their string pulled and talk like a Cracker Jack box. And objectively, a song with the title of Puppet Man, it shouldn't sound sexy and intimate. But it does, because this person consents to the manipulation, and they set it in a key that sounds like a lustful ballad, so it's a very interesting song.
This was also written by Neil Sedaka.
Wow.
And one Howard Greenfield. And, I thought that, well, maybe this track, it's Marilyn and Florence singing together, but then I thought, well, maybe they just double tracked Marilyn's voice. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I listened to this a lot just to see if I could separate them, and it's really difficult. Anyway, she is coming on with the come on very submissively. Like, I'll do anything you say. I won't have it any other way. And if you want to see me do my thing,
pull that string.
Yep. And my favorite line, I'll crack a jack till the crack of dawn. I have no idea what that means. How does one crack a jack? Because all I can think of is the box with the
At the baseball game, yeah.
toy prize inside. And the mind reels as to what that could possibly mean. Well, mine does anyway. And musically, for the fifth, this is pretty rocking and pretty funky. And it is just one of my all-time favorites by them. Ugh.
Next, oh boy. Next track, Save the Country. As soon as I heard that opening organ, I thought, oh yeah, we're going to church.
Oh, yeah.
Other protest songs get referenced like We Shall Overcome and Ain't Gonna Study War No More. It's interesting how they mentioned fury overtaking the soul, because I did this as a thesis on anger as fuel for social movements, using ACT UP as a case study, arguing that anger is good to kick off a social movement, but it can also lead to a movement's decline. But the anger at the world here is anger at war and pushing for the cause of peace. And like a good spiritual, it's a simple lyric and melody that can get stuck in people's heads so they can chant and pray. And the music sounded like Sesame Street with its arrangement, which I think also works for a message of peace and working together. A heartwarming song. Yeah.
This was also written by Laura Nero, who wrote this after Robert F. Kennedy's assassination in 1968.
Oh, okay.
And she references him and JFK in the line, "Keep the dream of the two young brothers."
Oh.
And I think she references Martin Luther King Jr. as well. There's the lines about there's a king at the Glory River, and the precious king, he loved the people as saying, babes in the blinking sun, saying, we shall overcome.
Okay, yeah. With the We Shall Overcome, I can hear that.
So I kind of look at it as like part protest song, part spiritual, mostly spiritual. But yeah, really, really good song.
Next track, Medley. The Declaration, a change is going to come, people got to be free. Now, when I was first searching for the lyrics for this song, I thought, no way they're going to sing the Declaration of Independence. But they did. People should play this cover in schools like they do with Schoolhouse Rock's cover to the preamble to the Constitution written by Lynn Ahrens. It's interesting to think about what went into people's minds when they decided to arrange a classic piece of text in American history to music. Man, they should play this on the radio on 4th of July. The way their voices soar on, it is their right, it is their duty, is absolutely beautiful, almost chill-inducing, almost. Then enter A Change is Gonna Come and Bill gets to shine with his solo. This was the most chill-inducing because of his passion that change has got to come because he's been running too long like that river, which I thought, Old Man River reference? Possibly? Bill could have been a pastor, and then it kicks into people gotta be free like the change has arrived, and it's here! It really wakes you up. We're still in church, but now it's the participation portion. I think this medley weaves the story really well. We're told all men are created equal, but there are times and places where people aren't, and we need to fulfill that promise for everyone. Very well done.
Very insightful.
Thank you.
You nailed it.
Thanks.
Okay, this was written by Julius Johnson and Renee DeKnight, Sam Cooke, and then Felix Cavalieri and Eddie Brigatti.
And Thomas Jefferson.
I will pick this apart. Oh, we'll get to him. We'll get to him. So this is one of the deep tracks because it's 10 minutes long, and this was the Fifth Dimension's protest move. The Declaration was from the play, and I did so much research on this. Bread, Beans, and Things. And I could find nothing online beyond that. Eartha Kitt may have been in this in 1976. It took me to, like, when I typed it in, it took me to, like, some BroadwayShows.com. Are you looking for tickets to Bread, Beans, and Things? Sign up for a notification list. And I thought, this is not what I'm looking for. The search just took me to Fifth Dimension over and over and over. I just could not get a bead on Bread, Beans, and Things. Anyway, they recorded that as a protest against Nixon's policies.
Yeah.
And they got them banned from Armed Forces Radio because the Declaration of Independence was about overthrowing a government. And they thought, oh, we can't have this happen again. But the thing is, college radio picked up on it because they were college radio.
And protesting.
Yep. And then...
What?
The Fifth Dimension was invited to the White House in December of 1969 to perform for the Tricky One at the National Governors Conference. So you've got Nixon and 50 governors, and the fifth to perform the Declaration. And when it was over, there was silence, until Nixon himself started clapping, and then everyone realized, it's okay, we can all clap.
Like the dictators in North Korea and in Russia wait until the leader gives his reaction.
I guess so.
Or like, well,
No.
it's the same for the Queen in England. It's like you have to wait for. Oh no, yeah, because I guess to sidetrack a little here, when Yentl premiered in London, it was like if people wanted to stand up to applaud the film, they had to wait for Princess Diana to stand up first. And she looks at Barbara Streisand and goes, "Why is everyone waiting for me? I didn't make the film. You stand up."
Huh.
Yeah, but interesting rules. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I don't know how Julius Johnson and Renee DeKnight got credit for Thomas Jefferson's words.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming, well, maybe they wrote the music and it's just a music credit thing.
And maybe everybody assumed at the time that every American knew who wrote that document. Not as much now.
I was just going to say, yeah. Anyway, it's not the whole declaration. It's most of the second paragraph, starting with, "We hold these truths to be self-evident," and it cuts it off right before they start listing grievances against King George
the famous
III.
portion, yeah.
Yeah. I think vocally, it's like the most complicated piece.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every time I listen to it, I think, I cannot believe someone was able to set this to music, and I cannot believe people were actually able to sing this without tripping over themselves, because it's just, it doesn't rhyme.
Nope.
There's no natural flow.
And it's slightly older English than what we use.
But it works.
Yeah.
It really does. And the fifth, for this one, they do sing it as a unit.
Mm-hmm.
The second song was Sam Cooke's civil rights anthem, "A Change Is Gonna Come."
Mm-hmm.
And it's sung by Billy Davis Jr., and he just does an unbelievable job.
Mm-hmm.
And the third song is The Rascals' "People Got to Be Free." And to me, this is the only part where the medley stumbles. It's well meant, but it kind of comes across to me as some sort of like Upwood People performance. And Billy Davis Jr.'s ad-libbing helps somewhat. I mean, he's really trying to goose it, but stick with the Rascals original. You will not be sorry. But anyway, it's overall a very impressive piece of work.
Next track, Dimension 5. Ooh, okay, an instrumental with vocal scatting. It feels like they recorded a jam session and let us hear, which is always really fun. I remember once at Yazzie, we did a vocal improv jam session in the hallway, layering our voices one on top of the other, and we made fun music. Some people might hate this because scatting is not their cup of tea, but I quite like it because it shows how talented they are, almost blending in with the sound of the instruments and being able to sustain those notes really well. Sure, do-do-do might feel a little silly after a while, but it's them singing it. Are you really gonna laugh in their face? Didn't think so.
Nope. This was written and vocally arranged by Bob Alcivar. And yes, this is another deep track. And yeah, it's, I guess you could call it an instrumental with a lot of ba-da-ba-ba-bas over it, which the fifth, they were just always good at. And again, they sing it as a unit.
Yep.
And this is probably like one of the last times that they would do so.
Mm-hmm.
It's an odd but interesting piece, and it really could get on your nerves if you're not into this kind of vocalizing.
Yes, correct.
But I also kind of look at it as like almost like a farewell to Sunshine Pop. It's like the last.
Oh.
I don't know what you call
Hurrah.
it. Thank you. Yeah,
You're
Sunshine Pop's last hurrah. And don't give me anything about revivals in the 80s and 90s. Those don't count.
Next track. Last night I didn't get to sleep at all.
I did.
Okay, this feels just like One Less Ball to Answer Part 2, but like we're observing her at a different time of day, just before bed as opposed to making breakfast in the morning. It's not beat for beat the same because there's more sorrow here instead of longing and weariness, but if I had to pick between the two, One Less Bell takes the cake.
Mm-hmm. This was written by Tony Macaulay whilst in Tokyo for the World Popular Song Festival. The time change kept him up all night. So he wrote a song about it. Now here's the thing. He sent a demo to the Carpenters, who said that they would do it. Then they called Tom back and said they couldn't because it mentioned sleeping pills in the lyric. And the Carpenters don't mention drugs.
Okay.
Which I thought was a little unusual. Anyway, so Tom thought, all right, I will change the lyric. And he was not happy about that. But Bones Howe called Tom a week later, and Tom pitched the song to Bones, and the Fifth recorded it and kept the sleeping pill reference intact.
Yep.
And this is a Marilyn solo once again, and she sung so hung up on the guy that she broke up with that not even that darn sleeping pill has any effect on her, which is pretty impressive.
I mean, that's some insomnia. Final track, If I Could Reach You. Well, I'm instantly sad again, and I've got chills all over again. Marilyn hooked up with a guy who's only interested in a quick hookup, and she knows this, but she loves him. And oh my god, you feel for this woman. You want her to reach this man somehow in some way, or more likely, you want him to zip his pants and sit his ass down and have him listen to her plead her case. It sounded like a song Olivia Newton-John would have covered, because it reminds me musically of I Honestly Love You.
Hmm.
I want to hug Marilyn and never let her go. What an emotional gut punch of a ballad to end on.
This was written by Randy McNeil, and it was the Fifth Dimension's last top 10 hit. And another Marilyn solo. And again, she's not having any luck with a guy. In this case, he just wants to leave after, committing acts of intimacy. It's like, oh, the old excuse of, I gotta get up early in the morning, so I gotta go. Yeah, yeah. They did an episode on this uncoupling. And it's just sad. It's the I know you know other girls like me. I let you take my love, knowing you don't love me. But she thinks if she could just reach him, that would fix everything somehow. And then there's that ending about, I'll see you again some other time. It's like, oh, Marilyn, have some self-respect.
Yeah,
You can do better.
she did better with Bill.
That's true.
Overall, the Fifth Dimension is a great group for feel-good music because of how they revel in the sounds their voices are making. But when they want to use their voices to sing a power ballad, it takes your breath away. If you haven't listened to them at least once in your life, pick this album up and binge right through it.
Yeah, the Essential Fifth Dimension lives up to its name, but I'd have to say it's 36 songs, so it's a commitment, and if 36 songs is too much, there are some decent one-disc best-ofs available. They may not have everything that we talked about on here, but, there's also YouTube or Spotify or whatever it is you kids listen to these days.
All right, as always, thank you for listening to the latest installment of My Dad Listens to This. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz, because remember, the more you interact with the video, the greater chance we have of appearing on the YouTube homepage. If you follow me on social media, I post the episodes there. If you're friends with my dad, tell him what you want to listen to, and he will send it right to your inbox. Thank you for listening to the latest installment of My Dad Listens to This. We will be back next time with another album to nitpick and gripe about. Dad, anything you want to say before we sign off?
So let the sun shine in. Unless you're a vampire, then don't. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween, everyone.